Hello everybody! I'm making a small video here because every year I have tons of friends who are starting their gardening adventures. They write to me and they want to know what to do in their gardens to improve their soil in the fall. And so it happens every year, and it happened again this year, so I thought I'd just make a little video. And pardon me, I don't know where to look, so just bear with me. But essentially in the fall, we want to focus on nourishing the soil. Putting nutrients back into the system, because we grew vegetables, we grew fruits, and those plants pulled nutrients from the soil and put them in the form of fruits and vegetables that we then ate to nourish ourselves in our bodies. And so if we want to keep building more and more nutrient dense food and more abundant, vigorous fertility in our soils, we need to do actions to help build that nutrient bank in the soils. And the best time of year, if you're going to do one action to improve your soil fertility every year, it's got to be in the fall. And the reason is that in the fall, we are using the momentum, the natural momentum of the natural cycles of life to our advantage. It takes the soil, it takes Mother Nature 100 years to build an inch of topsoil, but when we know how to use these natural momentums and cycles, we can build inches in years, just a few years. So the fastest decomposition rate on the planet is actually in the winter underneath the snow. And so in the fall, the last thing you want to do is clean your garden. We have this obsession of like taming our landscapes and making them clean. And a lot of people will be cleaning their gardens and tarping them in the fall, but this is the worst thing you could do for your fertility and to build nutrient richness in your soils. You want to make sure your soils are covered with organic material. What do I mean by organic material? I mean things that are dead and brown, such as this. If you have a scythe and you can chop and drop like lots of long grasses, green grasses, I would put that down. If you've got leaves, I'd put that down. If you've got straw, you can put some of that down. If you've got manure, you can put that down too, but I would mix it with straw. You want to use a mix of things that are green and brown. And what do I mean? Like this is green, and these leaves are dead and brown, right? So you want to create like a good layer of organic material and let that decompose in the winter. Use the momentum of the cycle of the season and let that decompose, because soil is an ecosystem that is built over time. It's built through this decomposition or organic material on the surface of the soil, and it's also built by the plants doing photosynthesis, creating sugars and juices through photosynthesis, sending those sugars down into the soil through the root systems and feeding the soil life, which then are able to pierce into the rocks, sand, silt, and clay and erode out the minerals. So the minerals come from that process, the nutrients come from the decomposition process, and these two processes together build soil over time. So we can jumpstart that by knowing what to do. So another thing is, if you can have, like for me here, we scattered throughout the garden here, this plant right here. And if you can have like perennial herbs and living plants growing throughout the whole year, this is going to keep growing all year round and feeding the soil all year round. This is also great to have them scattered. Here it looks like a mess and nothing much grew, but we had a huge abundance of peppers that were growing here. So that's, you want to cover your soil and give it something to chew on over the winter. And the more diverse material that you're putting in, that's the more diversity of nutrients and vitamins that is coming back into your soil system, being cycled around. If you've got long stems like this was our mesclun lettuce, okay? So we just lay them down so that the seeds, these seeds here, they're gonna sow themselves on site. And they're going to regrow on their own. And the seedlings, they will germinate and they will push through all of this mass, and they will start to grow. And when they're maybe like yay high, then we'll clear out the rest of this organic material if we need to. And the other part of that is, especially if you're in the city and you want to help create an ecosystem for wild habitat, these stems are amazing ecosystems for insects and wild to put their lay their eggs in. And so you want to leave them as long as possible in the springtime so that the insects have time to come out of their eggs, go into the larval stage, and then go into the juvenile stage and leave. Especially if you're in the city and you don't already have like wildlife all around where you have that function already happening and you want to contribute. So you only clean the spaces as you need them. And don't worry, this bed, we just planted our garlic, and we're going to be putting a nice, very thick straw down to not leave the soil bare over the winter. So that's it. You need to build up the richness and let it cycle. If you find that your organic matter is not decomposing in the winter, then that means you also need to do a little compost extract in the fall. And if you want to go the extra mile in the fall and really, really give back to really have a huge abundance next year, cover your soils, go to the gardening stores, buy some liquid kelp or liquid seaweed and dilute that in water. And if you want to go the even extra mile, you can dilute that into compost extract, which is compost where you've shaken the compost in some non-chlorinated water to make the microbes fall off the little compost particles into the water. You put that in a watering can with some liquid kelp. You spray that over your organic material that you're leaving for the winter, and watch your vegetables grow much better next year. So just this one simple thing. If you know how to use the rhythm, the natural cycles of nature, we can really, really build fertility pretty simply and pretty quickly. So I hope this helps you. It's just a little tidbit of information, but it should really improve things. Bye.